Hello and welcome to Simple SolidWorks. Today we will go over the hole wizard command in a step-by-step process. So let's begin. Most of you have already worked or should know the extrude cut command, which is right here. Most people would try to make a hole and sort of create a hole and then cut extrude through the whole process. But if you want to put some model in dimensions that has parameters of the hole, you definitely don't want to use this. You want to use the hole wizard. The hole wizard has three parameters that are in the same location. One of them is called the hole wizard, which is the most basic one that you can find, and most people know about the hole wizard. It is pretty robust. It has a lot of good things in it. But now there's also an advanced hole, and those are for more complex type of machining that needs to be done in today's CNC operations. And then there's a thread, which is also another feature that a lot of people wanted for the longest time. I think I was one of them. I used to beg SolidWorks to make it. And I think 2006 I had a really hard time making threads, and I worked as a R&D place doing plastic, and making threads was a nightmare. So I'm glad that they included this command in the process. So the first one we're going to work at, we're going to sort of work with the hole wizard. So you click on the hole wizard. It's going to activate several options here. So if you see that you have different types that you can do, you have a full selection of all types of holes that you can actually want to work with. So if you want to work with a tapped hole or a flatwood screwed hole or a through hole, and you can go over these you can hover over them, and you can see which one of these holes would actually do what. So if you're not too sure, you just hover over it and it'll tell you what it is. It said this is a counterbore. See how that actually shows up. And if you hover over here, it gives you a countersink. Over that, it tells you what it is, and so forth. And you can actually say, well, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want to start off with. Let's start off with a counterbore hole. Sorry. And once you select it, you pick on the face where you want to sort of start your process from. And you can pick here, there, there. Now if you zoom in, you see what's going on. It's giving you the hole. The only reason you can't see it real fast is because it's a very small one. You can select your sizes here, right around this area. This is where you pick your sizes at. So if you pick on this size here, you scroll down and you first change whatever you want to do. Let's say a hex bolt. Now you get to see the different fractional sizes of that, and you can say, well, I want it to be 5/8, or I want it to be really smaller than that. So let's say 3/8, and then you say, well, I want it to be a normal fit, meaning you want the bolt to sort of have a normal fit going through. Or you can make a closed fit. It makes it even tighter. You see how the hole slowly closes up? That means if you want to have a very tight tolerance. But if you want to have a loose hole, that means that the hole will be a 3/8, but it will be loose, and the bolt will come through right through the whole process. You can also change, the head clearance. Here you can say, well, I want it to be, 0.125, and you can see that the head clearance is sort of a little bit deeper now. So if you look at this from the inside, it tells you exactly what's going on there. You can see that there's a dimension from here to here. So it tells you that the hole is going to go in 1/8 further in, and the bolt will then be not flush with the top of the part, but deeper in. So you can do that. You can also have the call out value here, so you can tell it what you want it to be. It's going to call out values of through hole diameter this. You can add tolerances. you know, basic tolerances, bilateral, limit, symmetry, minimum, max, fit, fit to tolerance, and fit. So you have all these options that you can do, and that'll apply to your dimension callout when it comes out. So if you want it to be at 3 places, you can put it there and it will make it 3 places of a callout, right? So all of this parameters, you want to sort of have it in there so that you can, when you actually start pulling data from that or the dimension from that, it'll come out. So then you can, once you have where you want it at, you can put positions, and then you can start dimensioning how you want to control this. You know, you can control it by just punching in the diameters there. You can always look at it. You can always add center lines just to tie things together a little bit. Make it all nice and square. So you can then dimension these, dimension that, and tie it all nice and neat. Again, you always want to make sure that your sketches are completely constrained and in black. That always makes a good design principle. So once you have it there, you can always confirm here, confirm there, and you have your hole. Now, before they made this other option, the advanced hole option, if you wanted to make a special looking hole because you have a machine shop that does things a little bit different, you had to basically come into this particular part here, go to this sketch here, and then edit that sketch. And sometimes it will work, and sometimes it did not. And I think that's the reason they decided to add that feature, so that people can stop doing weird stuff that they get angry about later on, calling SolidWorks, well, why doesn't it work? So they decided to add this other feature, this advanced hole feature. Once you open that up, you get your first what type of hole you want to create, right? So you want to, let's say first of all, the first one you want to, it's asking you for the side of the face. You pick that. You're going to see that it's already sort of highlighted for you there. But then you say, well, I want it to be a hex bolt screw. I want it to be a 3/8. You go to 3/8, and then you say, okay, that's one portion of the hole. That's meaning that that's the first initial stage that I want. Again, you can come in here and do the same thing you did on the other ones. If you notice here, you can change these dimensions if you want to, right? So then you come over here to this portion right here, then you click on that icon right there to add a secondary portion of that bolt process. So if you click on it, it's going to give you another process of what you want to do. Another stack up, if you want to think about it that way. Think about it as a stack of the holes that are being made. Then you click on this and say, you know what, I want it to be a through. So now you're starting to notice that over here you're getting a through hole, and you say, you know what, that's pretty much, that's kind of close to what I want, but now I want it to be different on this side. So I mean, you want to make sure that this side of the face is going to be a different type of hole. So then you go and say, well, for that to happen, you got to go to the far side, click on this icon here. It says far side. Click on that. And that's going to now allow you to pick the opposite side of that object. So if you pick this side of the object, now it gives you, okay, does you want it to be a through? And you say, no, I want it to be like this. Now it's going to probably, see how it's red? That's because, look at the sketch. It's probably too big, right? So you're probably going to have to go a little bit smaller. Well, let's say, well, maybe you want it to go bigger. Okay, so you have to go bigger. And now you notice it's nice and clear. But sometimes if it's red, that means it's not going to make it for you. Then when you confirm that, you tell it where you want it. You give it the position again by giving a dimension. And you confirm that. Now you have your exotic looking shape type of profile that you cannot do with a regular counter, but a regular hole wizard. You could do it. I'm not saying you can't. It's just that if you want to do it, you have to do it manually yourself. Now with this advanced hole feature, you could actually create it on the fly without having to manipulate the profile itself. And that's a very helpful tool to actually have and know. Again, I always recommend that you play around with any of these features, especially when something is new and you haven't touched it. Just go around and open it up and play around with it and see what else can you do with that. So another feature that they added on the host wizard side was the thread. And for those who don't know how painful this was extremely painful back in the old days to make a thread. You had to do a helix revolve, you had to have a helix profile going up, you had to create the profile yourself, and that was not fun. That was not fun at all. But now Solidworks has finally taken out that. Now here's one thing you need to look at and pay attention to. This is telling you that it does, that this is just for a nominal thread profile only. Okay, this is just basic one. If you have a special type of thread that you want to use, you need to create it. And I'll show you where you could manipulate that and add more threads to your profile. So on this thread command, you can activate it by clicking on this feature here called thread, and this will create an actual physical thread for you. Before they used to do these representation of a thread, and it looked terrible. I'm glad they went away with that. But you need to read this warning. This is important. This warning is for those who are doing 3D printing and they want to sort of use their production to actually like a prototype and actually work with it and see if it works. It tells you here that there's only a nominal thread. So if you need to create a different type of thread, you need to sort of go into the actual file itself and create your own profile. And I'll show you where that's located at. So to create a thread, you have this area here where it's telling you to pick the thread location. That means pick the outside of this rim here. So it tells you it's highlighted. Pick that thread there. Now here you can see how it says the end condition here. Sometimes it'll have up to selection. So if it says that, you want to take that off and turn it into a blind. Why? Because it's sort of it needs another portion. It needs another parameter, and if you don't give it, then it's not going to create it for you. So then here you can say, well, I want it to be an inch tap, sort of make it more of a nominal size type of thread. Yeah, that was kind of tight there, so you say, well, I need it to be a little bit bigger. Let's make it a 3/8 16 thread. That's going to spread it out a little bit more. You say, you know what, that's sort of what I want, but I want it to go down further down. So you can say, well, I need it to go further. All right, and say, yeah, that's sort of what I'm looking for. And be on the lookout for anything here. This is a cut thread and this is an extrude thread. Sometimes it works if you just leave it as is, or sometimes it'll tell you you needed to make it an extrude cut. So if you confirm that, and it works, then you sort of have what you're looking for. You have a thread that's being cut into the material, and now you can take a bolt and screw it onto that. Okay, that's one way to make a thread. Another way is for you to go back and hit the thread option. Again, you can turn this off after you've read it once, but I like to keep it on because sometimes you just forget, and it's good to have it. You pick the outside of the, again, you pick this one here, and this might not work, you see, because you can't add something to there. You just, you can't, you can shave it off, but it's, if you're gonna do like a, let's say for instance you want to do a bottle type of thread, it's going to probably yell at you. So you say, well, you know what, make it like this, so that way it turns into a nice thick application. I know this might be something that you might not see, but you could add it that way as well, and say, well, I think that I want to put a condition of up to selection, and then you pick the selection here, and it'll make it all the way to that face, and you say, I think I like that, I'm gonna leave it like that, and you have an outside thread sort of looking outside. So this was very useful. This command has, I wish I would have had it when I was working in plastic back in '06. This would have saved my life a ton of work. Going back to this thread here, if you want to create your own thread, you have to do it, and you go to tools here, you wait for the system to come up, you go to file location, you click dig here, come all the way down and find your thread profiles. And right now everything is profiled here on that particular program. If you go into this folder, you'll find all the profiles that are in this program itself. And then in there you can actually create your own profile by opening the ones that you want to modify, and then edit the parameters, and then save it, and then it'll have it there for you. I'm not going to touch on that today. I just wanted to touch on the different holes and also touch on threads. So if you are interested in learning a little bit more, just put in some comments, let me know what you feel about this, and if you think that it needs to be improved, just let me know and I'll get back to you. Thank you for watching.